Learning objectives. After completing this module, learners will be able to describe how company became the Diwan, explain the revenue system of the company, describe the new system of revenue, explain the Munro System, enlist the crops to Europe, discuss the increase in indigo demand, explain the cultivation of indigo, describe Blue Rebellion. Company becomes the Diwan. The East India Company was appointed as the Diwan of Bengal by the Mughal Emperor on 12 August 1765. The East India Company was the chief financial administrator of the territory under the control of Diwan. Revenue of the company. The company demanded large revenue without setting up any regular system of collection and assessment. The economy of Bengal was going through a deep crisis because the artisans were forced to sell their goods to the company at cheap prices. Peasants were not able to clear the dues of the company. Agriculture and artisans' production was on the verge of decline. In 1770, 1/3 of the population of Bengal was killed in famine. Permanent settlement. In 1793, the company introduced permanent settlement in order to overcome the economic crisis. Rajas and talukdars acted as zamindars. They collected rent from peasants and paid as revenue to the company. Problem with permanent settlement. Zamindars were not willing to make any investments for the improvement of land. Revenue fixed by the company was very high for zamindars. During first decade of 19th century, market price rose and cultivation expanded. It led to the increment of income of zamindars. Company still suffered loss because the revenue from zamindars was fixed permanently. Cultivators in villages found this system extremely oppressive, as they were unable to pay high rents demanded by zamindars. New system, Mahalwari system. In 1822, Holt Mackenzie, an Englishman, designed a new system for the northwestern province of Bengal Presidency. He regarded villages as improvement social institution in North Indian society. He instructed tax collectors to go village to village for the inspection and measuring of land, in order to estimate the revenue to be paid by each village. The revenue was not fixed, it was revised periodically. The revenue was collected by the village headman. This system of revenue was called a new Mahalwari system. The Munro System. In the British territories of South India, the new system of permanent settlement was known as Rotwari System or Munro System. Captain Alexander Reid tried Rotwari system on small-scale areas that were taken over by company after wars with Tipu Sultan. Traditional zamindars were absent in South India. The settlements were made by the cultivators, ryots. Drawbacks of Munro system. Income from the land decreased. Revenue demand was too high. Peasants were unable to meet the revenue needs. Cultivators fled to countryside. Villages became deserted. This led to the decline of Munro system. Crops to Europe. Company tried expanding the cultivation of opium and indigo in India by the end of 18th century. Cultivators were forced by the British to produce jute in Bengal, sugarcane in Uttar Pradesh, rice in Madras and wheat in Punjab. Indigo. Indigo is the blue color dye obtained from indigo plant grown in India. In 19th century, India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the world. Indigo was used in kalamkari prints created by weavers of Andhra Pradesh, floral prints produced by famous poet and artist William Morms. Reasons for the demand of Indian indigo. In 13th century, manufacturers in Italy, France and Britain used India indigo for dyeing cloth. Indigo was preferred by cloth dyers because it produced rich blue color while dye from woad was dull and pale. With the expansion of cotton production and industrialization in Britain, the demand for cloth dye increased, resulting in increased demand of Indian indigo. The existing supply of indigo from America and West Indies collapsed, due to which Britain saw India as the only source of indigo. System of indigo cultivation. Indigo cultivation in India. In India, indigo cultivation was done under two main systems: Nij system, Reshaping system. Nij system. In Nij system, the indigo was produced on the land that was directly controlled by the planters. Drawbacks of Nij cultivation. Expansion of area under Nij cultivation was difficult for the planters. Large-scale Nij cultivation required big investment, due to which planters avoided its expansion. Reshaping system. In this system, ryots were forced by the planters to sign a contract, an agreement called satta. Those who signed the agreement got advance cash from planters at low interest rates for the production of indigo. The peasants got very low price of the indigo they produced, and the cycle of loans never ended. Indigo made the soil infertile. After an indigo harvest, the land could not be sown with rice, which the peasants preferred. The Blue Rebellion and after. In March 1859, thousands of ryots in Bengal refused to grow indigo. As the rebellion spread, ryots refused to pay rents to the planters and attacked indigo factories. Ryots swore that they would no longer take advances to sow indigo nor be bullied by the planters' lathials. The government set up the Indigo Commission to inquire into the system of indigo production. It declared that indigo cultivation was not profitable for ryots. Hence, they could refuse to produce indigo in future. After the revolts, indigo production collapsed in Bengal. The planters now shifted their operations to Bihar. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. On 12 August 1765, the Mughal Emperor appointed the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. Before 1865, the company purchased goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. Now the revenue collected in Bengal could finance the purchase of goods or exports. By the early 19th century, many of the company officials were convinced that the system of revenue had to be changed again. An Englishman, Holt Mackenzie, devised the new system which came into effect in 1822. This system was called as Mahalwari settlement. Ryotwari was initiated by Captain Alexander Reid and developed by Thomas Munro. This system was extended all over South India. By the late 18th century, the company was trying to expand the cultivation of opium and indigo. The Britishers forced cultivators to produce jute, tea, sugarcane, wheat, cotton and rice in various parts of India. Nij cultivation